Hello, and welcome back to the Cooper Villa channel. I'm Scott Cooper, and I'm here with Noah Fisher, and we are back to discuss Bournemouth versus Aston Villa from back on Saturday. Yeah, what a win. Great away win, 1-0. Ollie Watkins broke the record. Fantastic stuff. And, with 2 games to go, it's all to play for. We had some nice results go our way this weekend, but we've got 2 massive games coming up, and we'll be discussing all of that and much more after this. And yes, welcome back to another edition of Coupe de Villa Live. I got Noah here, and we are ready to talk about what was another fantastic victory. Eighth win out of the last 9 in the Premier League, I think, Noah. Ollie Watkins, 75 goals, breaking the record, 1-0. And it was the slightest of touches. Noah must have just flicked his stud, I reckon. But I also think he deliberately put that ball into that corner. So it was a brilliant finish, great goal, and all around another professional performance that we weren't getting in the first half of the season. And recently, with the odd defeat here and there, the Palace game, let's not talk about it, in the semi-final. But apart from that game, we've been pretty good and tight in defence and looking solid. And is this the time we do go on and push for top 5?
It's weird, Scott. I'll take you back to the other Crystal Palace result when we got battered for another time at Selhurst Park. And
every time we play them.
But I said we could only lose 1 or 2 games. And that seems like a while ago. I've only lost 1 in the league since then, which was to Man City. And I think we deserved a point at least in that game. But
yeah, look, a last minute goal in that one.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, and the team was pretty standard. I think he went in with the kind of the tried and trusted. Anana was in for Tielemans, who got injured since the last pod, and unfortunately is out for the rest of the season with a hamstring injury, I think it is. So that's bad news. But I thought Anana was fantastic, and probably man of the match, I would say. It was just like such a force in there. He was comfortable on the ball. Him and Kamara, were linking up well. And Bournemouth are a tricky team. And out of our last 3 games, this was the one that kind of I was a bit worried about. But we got the job done, and I think we deserved it.
Yeah, I think so, Scott. I mean, it was a typical when Emery first came in, away performance, get the lead, hold on to it. Great finish from Watkins. I know you mentioned it before, but I definitely think he meant it. Clinical finish, one that we're used to seeing from him over the years. But
definitely.
I heard a stat yesterday. He's only scored 1 goal from outside the box out of all of his 75 goals, 1. And it was the lob against Chelsea in Emery's first season. So it's a crazy stat. Like, get him in the box, he'll score goals. But I mean,
he's an old-fashioned poacher, isn't he? He reminds me,
100%.
For all you older listeners and watchers, like a Gary Lineker back in the day, probably before your time, Noel. But not a scorer of great goals like maybe a Duran or someone like that. Just is in the right place, right time. And Rodgers knows where he is, with that ball.
They have great link up, isn't it? They have great link up. Is he a Villa legend, Scott? Is he a Villa legend?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, if you've scored the most goals in the Premier League for Villa, then, I mean, look at the other guys on the list. Like Dwight York. I mean, a lot of people were angry when he's left, but I would consider him a legend. I would consider, Benteke a legend? I would consider. I mean, it is. I mean, it all depends how high your threshold for legend is.
I want to get 100. I really want to get 100 for Villa. I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of speculation about what's going on with him, but back him in. He's our striker. Get him. Like, it could be next season, Scott. Imagine he scores 25 goals and he gets it next season. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I mean, I wonder how many goals he scored in all competitions. It must be like getting up there. I mean, he didn't really get that many in the Champions League this season, but I'm sure he's scored a few cup goals as well. But yeah, look, it's looking a lot better than it did a couple of weeks ago, Noah. And Nottingham Forest drew with Leicester, which was huge for us. A lot late equaliser by Leicester, so thank you to them. Thank you to Southampton for getting a 0-0 against City, and Newcastle Chelsea. I wasn't really sure what I wanted in this game. I guess a draw.
It's a weird one.
A draw would have been probably the best result, but we also need one of those teams to finish below us. So I guess it worked out pretty well, but we just need Chelsea now. Hopefully, United can do something on Friday night. I really think it's interesting now that we were playing on Friday night because we play before anyone. Even Man United kick off half an hour later than us, right? I mean, a Chelsea Man United game, right? So if we could get a couple of early goals in that game, right? And Spurs are thinking about the Europa League final, so they're not really concerned about that game. So if we get up early, even then, that can put the pressure on Chelsea and Newcastle and Forest and the rest of the teams over the weekend. If we bag those 3 points early, right, and we do our job for the weekend, then it kind of makes everyone else's job just that little bit more nervous.
If we win both our games, Scott, we get top 5. That's the way I see it. I just think there's going to be one team will slip up. Has to be Chelsea. It has to be Chelsea. Or it has to be them. And I think we get top 5. If we win both our games, we'll get top 5.
I was thinking about this, right? So that Chelsea Nottingham Forest game is the one that everyone's thinking could be a decider in terms of who goes through, who it could come down to that last game of the week of the season. And we almost need Forest to win against West Ham, right? Because we want them to think they've got a chance. We don't want them to lose to West Ham and then go and then kind of just be on the beach, for the game against Chelsea, the last game of the season, with nothing to play for. We want something to play for in that match. And if hopefully they drop points against Man United, Chelsea, but I don't see that. I think it's going to be that Forest game, and I think Forest will get something out of that game. And if we win both our games, it doesn't matter what Forest do. They can win both games, right? So that would be a good situation. But look, there's so many twists and turns. We could even finish ahead of Man City.
It's ridiculous, Scott.
Or Newcastle. It is crazy. It's so tight. I mean, there's a situation, right, where we beat Tottenham, Chelsea beat Man United, Forest beat West Ham, Newcastle lose to Arsenal, and Man City draw with Bournemouth, right? Not out of the world that could happen. And then I think it's like 4 teams are on 66, or 3 teams on 66 points, and 1 team on 65 going into the last game. It could be absolutely insane if that happened. But
yeah, it's ridiculous. Because I take you back 2 months ago again. We were thinking, are we going to get Europe at all? Like, we were down bad. We couldn't defend and couldn't keep a clean sheet. And now we're only 2 clean sheets off getting what we got last year.
Yeah, well, I think after that Palace defeat, we were 10th.
Yeah.
So, it was all about, I guess, Europa League will be all right. And look, if it still works out that way, I'm not going to be devastated with Europa League. But obviously, we need the money. I wanted to talk about a bit later, but I guess this is a good time to bring it up. There's been, I think Jacob Townsend dropped the news that Villa have to sell one of their top players this summer before the 30th of June, actually, to comply with PSR. And I mean, there's so many ways to look at this. Like, we've actually, we were talking before the pod about this. We've sold in the last 12 months Douglas Luiz for about 40 mil, 50 mil, something like that. Diaby for about 60, right? Duran for nearly 70. We've sold Philogene. We've sold Kellyman. We've sold Irabunum. Archer. So we've actually made a massive profit. I mean, we've brought in Anana, Marlon, Garcia. I think that's about it. Maybe if there's anyone else, let me know. But we had the loans, of course, so there was some loan fees, I think, attached with that. We're way ahead of where we were, right? In terms 100%. Of PSR, and
plus all the Champions League money.
Yeah, plus all the Champions League money, a deep run in the Champions League, deep run in the FA Cup, right? And we've and even if we finish in the Champions League top 5, they're saying we're going to have to sell one of our big 4, which is Watkins, Rogers, Kamara, Emi Martinez, right?
Ridiculous.
So, and I mean, that would be just crippling. And it is. I mean, I sound like I'm a child, but it's not fair. It's not. I mean, Chelsea want to drop 100 mil or 80 mil on Rogers. How can they do that? They've sold. They've spent £1 billion in the last 3 seasons on players.
Yeah,
they're not making Champions League.
Yeah.
We hope. They didn't make it last season, right? And it's just this whole PSR is just set up for the big clubs, and it's just to keep the likes of Villa, Newcastle, Forest, these teams that want to try and bridge the gap, they just get pushed back down, and sorry, but yeah, you can come up to the Champions League for one season, but that's it. Stay where you deserve to be. But yeah, what did you think about this whole story that was dropped in the week?
I was shocked. I really was shocked. Like, I thought, geez, we sold Duran, like, we'll be fine. No need to worry. Like, 75 million, that's a lot. We had to sell Dougie for 50 or whatever it was last year. We got money to spend. I thought, geez, we're well in the green, but unfortunately, the rich get richer and the poorer get poorer, apparently. Like, it's just like, it's a weird concept, PSR, because it was brought in place for a good thing, like to try to stop teams from spending and whatever but what I don't get is it's like, how can Chelsea spend £1 billion over 2 years, ever it is, but then we buy a player for 70 or whatever it was, like 50 million? It's like, nah, can't do that. We can't be doing that every year. Just because we have rich owners doesn't mean we should be punished.
That's it. And Duncan and Michael both, bring up the fact that there is apparently a contract on the table for Kamara, but he's yet to sign it. And, that's also, bringing in speculation as to, what's the future for him. And
he'll say he ain't leaving.
I don't feel like he's leaving either, but I mean, Duncan, brings up a good point. Like, if he doesn't sign that, then we don't want him to go on a free, No,
I know.
So, it'd be heartbreaking to lose him on a free in 12 months' time or whenever his contract runs out. So,
yeah,
it's. I mean, back in the days where, Man City got the money from Abu Dhabi and that, they could just go and do whatever they want, And
that's what's bizarre about it all.
And Man City get a bit of money, we get a bit of money. Forest and others are starting to get a bit of spending cash, and the Premier League is this juggernaut now, and this but it just seems like, the big six, if you like, just want to kind of put the brakes on everyone, and they want you know, their money. They want their Champions League football every year. They want the top six to be the same top six every year. And, if they swap places, then that's okay. But they don't want anyone else coming in and ruining the party. And
Exactly.
yeah,
That's what I hate about it. That's
it's a
what I hate about it.
tragedy. Yeah.
It really is. It really is. And it's like, we've done so well. I mean, to get European football 3 seasons in a row is bloody incredible. And
It is.
we're getting punished for that, it seems like.
And if we get Champions League 2 years in a row, that is a phenomenal achievement from Unai Emery. I mean, the fact that every pundit and every person on TalkSport and these phone-in shows and everything like that, before the season started saying, people, do their predictions, right? We did our predictions, and everyone was like, oh, who's your team do you think will struggle? And a lot of them said, oh, Villa, they won't be able to, handle Champions League.
Yeah.
And they won't be able to do it again. But we've done it again. Not only that, we've gone to the quarterfinals of the Champions League and the semi-finals of the FA Cup. So, we struggled maybe pre-Christmas, a bit with it. But, we made the loan signings, and we got Marlon as well in January. The January business was, probably the best in Europe. And we had a great, last 6 months of the season. And look, I think, people talk about Eddie Howe for manager of the year, and Nuno, and, Arnie Slot and all this sort of thing. But I think if we got top 5, Emery's name should be in that bucket, at least, in the sort of nominees, because, to do it when no one fancied us. Everyone thought we'd do a Newcastle and drop off and, finish outside the European places or whatever. We've just shown that, no, we've actually got a really deep squad, and we're here to stay, hopefully.
100%. And, geez, I really just hope we get this top 5. Like, I know we all kind of do. And not only feel like on field and how good that would be, we've finally gone back to back. And I'm not sure when the last non-Big Six club was to go back to back in the Champions League. Because everything, like when Leicester up there, they didn't even do it. Like Tottenham, have they ever gone back to back? I'm not even sure these days. But, to be able to do it and kind of break the name of the Big Six. Like, I mean, Tottenham and United, they're 17th and 16th in the Premier League. But they're still in the Big Six. They're still in the Big Six, which is a lot of bollocks. Like the whole thing is.
And to think one of them will be in the Champions League and we might not be. But to think that will be heartbreaking. But look, I think, we've obviously got to play both of them. They've got their sights on that game, and they only seem to rock up midweek now. Like, Man United
apparently
have lost Spurs have lost 20 games this season. 20 games.
20 games. I know. It's absurd. These are absurd numbers. And
I think Man United have lost like 9 games at home or something this season.
Very, very un-Man United-like, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Man United that just wouldn't be acceptable.
But then I look at our record against Tottenham at Villa Park, and
I
don't know if you've seen that. That's been floating around on social media the last few days. I can't remember the last time we beat them.
It was the year we got Conference League, I reckon. 2-1 win.
At home though.
Yeah, at home, 2-1 win. Douglas Luiz got a free kick, and Ramsey might have scored, and it put us ahead of Tottenham for Conference League football. I'm almost certain. But they smacked us last year, and they smacked us under Steven Gerrard. But then we definitely beat them a couple of years ago at Villa Park, 100%.
Paul's made some great comments here. This one made me laugh, but this is your best work, Coxie. I love that. Oh, there'll be. I think Unai will have a statue one day, and
100%.
Why not? Him riding a lion, that would be absolutely sick. I don't know if you saw Peter Crouch go and visit Unai Emery.
Yeah, yeah,
That was a great little sort of
I loved it.
just and you could tell that Peter Crouch loved it, and he likes he's actually worked with one of Unai's assistants, Pacho.
Yeah,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, at Liverpool. So he
Yeah,
was an assistant when he was at Liverpool under Rafa Benitez. So they were just really nice with him. I like actually when I think Crouch was a little bit early, and Unai Emery was looking on YouTube at his podcast to get to do a bit of homework. He even does homework
I
on
love it.
people come around for an interview. So it's just typical Unai, and it's just you can just tell like how warm and how sort of inviting the club is, and
Oh,
people.
100%. 100%. It's great. And it's the vibe around the club. Like it starts from the fans, it starts from the players, staff, the chefs, whatever. Like everywhere you go and talk about Aston Villa, it's all positive right now. I know you go a couple months ago and it wasn't, but I mean, when you're playing the sort of brand of football we have been in the Premier League and the Champions League and whatnot, people notice us, and it would be such a happy place. Bodymore Heath would be such a happy place right now.
There's certain like pundits, like we obviously in Australia have Optus Sport, and it's a different sort of pundits to what you guys get over in the UK. But like there's certain pundits that whenever they come in, they speak so well about Villa. Tim Sherwood obviously is one of them. Like we get him quite regularly. Owen Hargreaves is another one who just always is like lauding the team, the players, Unai Emery. It's really nice to have this, because for so long we were just, a bit of a laughing stock. That's
we were. Right? It's true,
we were in the championship, and then before that we were kind of going nowhere, just finishing sort of 14th, 15th, 16th every season, and not selling our best players and going through managers that just played kind of dull football, and we were just had it up against it, didn't spend any money, Randy Lerner and all that. But now everyone just knows that we're pushing forward, and even back a couple of months ago, like you said, when people were getting a little bit frustrated, it's only because we've raised our expectations.
100%. And people were saying like before this, this is not a successful season. I hope people's eyes have changed that now, because this is the best season I've ever experienced. Quarterfinal of the Champions League, FA Cup semi-final, Carabao Cup round of 16. That was obviously probably the only disappointing part of the season, was going out in the Carabao Cup. But I mean, what are you season? There's only 2 games to go, Scott. Like this season feels like it started like last week. Like you gotta think I was at Villa Park in September. Like it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Like it feels like the season's just flown by, and I'll tell you, I've been enjoying the ride. I've absolutely enjoyed the 24-25 season, and it's crazy like how quick it's gone.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about the game, because we didn't talk a lot about it. I think I want to highlight a few guys that stood out, and one of which Matty Cash. He's in a fine vein of form right now. He's playing back-to-back brilliant games, and I'm just really happy for him, because look, he's one of the guys whenever we talked about, maybe we need an upgrade in right back, and look, he's not the best player in the team, but he gives everything, and at the moment he's just being crucial at the back, crucial blocks, and he's getting better and better on the ball all the time. And I thought he had another great game, and fantastic.
He's a scapegoat. When Villa don't play well, Cash has got to go. It's always how it is. And I've always said, like, he can offer this team something, but if you look at positions you want to upgrade, we always say right back, because we can think that we can do better. But I mean, when he's playing his best football, he is unbelievable. And like those things that he does, like at the back stick, getting pressure on Emilison. I don't say his name, but like it's he just does the things like that, puts pressure on, they don't score the goal, or puts a last ditch block in, and that goes unnoticed, because we might lose. Let's say we lose 3-1. We got destroyed down the right hand side, but he might have blocked 2 shots. Like he does a lot of the dirty work and stuff, and he has the Jack Grealish haircut and, like trying to fit in that sort of way. But, I mean, he's the last month or 2 months, he's been unbelievable.
He has been. And another guy who was back in and was probably involved in the most controversial moment of the game was Tyrone Mings. There was a potential sort of red card check for an elbow. Look, I've seen a lot of people say it should have been a red card. I, first of all, didn't think it was malicious, but maybe that's because I'm biased and, I don't think Tyrone Mings is that kind of player. He's a nice guy. He's a fair sort of, kind of honest player. I haven't seen him do naughty stuff like that in the past. If it was
a couple
like
of stomps though from him. He's had a couple of stomp incidents, Tyrone.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Not but he's a changed man. He's a changed man. But Scott, have you heard this stat? Have you heard this stat about Tyrone Mings? He's played 14 games in the Premier League for Aston Villa this season, and we are unbeaten in all of those games.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. But what about the red card? What was your thought when you saw the replay? Did you think he was in trouble?
Of course you do. When you see someone with an elbow and the arms are up, it doesn't look good. And you think red card instantly.
Alex Scott fractured his jaw, which is not good, and we hope he has a speedy recovery.
But as soon as you see an arm go, more often than not, it's a red card. And I'm not going to lie, I probably do agree that it should have been a red in this sort of day and age with things like that. You want to cut that stuff out. Did we get very lucky? Bloody oath we did. That's the way I see it. Like, I'm not going to beat around the bush.
No, I think it was a little lucky as well. I don't think it was a swinging arm, but he certainly knew
he knew what he was doing.
Was coming. And got away with that one probably. But there was a red card in the game to Jacob Ramsey. And the first yellow card, as Kieran says here, was a bit of a joke, but I will say...
That was the second one.
Yeah, the second one was also like nothing. But the first one, he did overreact. He shouldn't. There was no need to do that. He'd been kicked, and he kind of tried to get in his face. It was obviously a late challenge, and emotions run high, and it was a bit of a niggly game in some respects. But yeah, I mean, he's got to realize he can't just run up to someone and go head to head like he did. I mean, especially for something that was pretty minor. He just got kicked. It wasn't like a 2-footed leg breaker. It was a professional foul. Like, people do that stuff pretty much all the time now.
And everyone was shocked it was a second yellow. He didn't really get him. He honestly didn't really make any contact with him.
I think he tried to get out of the way. Yeah,
he did. Yeah, it was a weird one, but obviously the ref was pretty card happy. Like, Ezri Konsa got his first yellow card of the season, which is mind blowing, by the way. He's only got one yellow card, but the ref lost control of the game in that incident, especially when the first yellow card was given, and he tried to show his authority and send a player off. I think he always wanted to send a player off. He must have had a bet on it or something that someone gets sent off, because he wanted it from the first minute, it seemed like.
Yeah, there was a few yellows, and there was a few yellows the time before when we played them at Villa Park. So, maybe that's becoming a bit of a grudge match. Who knows? But it worked out okay. I mean, Jacob Ramsey will miss the Spurs game, but we've got plenty of players that can fill in for him, and I hope we can, get through that one without him. Coxie makes another good point here, that we could finish with more points than last season and not make the Champions League. Isn't that crazy? Like, if I told you that we had more points than last season, that just doesn't feel right. But
it doesn't, because people have said we've had a shit year, and people have dampened how good we've been this season. Yes, I think we could have got more points. Like, we've dropped points when we played United at home. We drew 0-0. We Ipswich twice. We didn't beat Ipswich this year. Like, how crazy is that? So you see those results and you go, we've had a bad year. We've only lost one game at home, Scott. But the fact is, like, we might not even get
eight out of the last 9 as well.
Like, so it's crazy. It's crazy season, and the battle for top 5 is better than the battle for the title.
It
it's one of
is.
those
Well,
years.
there is no battle for the title. I mean, to think that Arsenal could get overtaken by Newcastle,
Mind blowing.
it's like I never thought that Arsenal. Well, before the season, I actually did pick them, but once we sort of got 10 games into the season, there was no like title challenge. Once it was clear that Man City had dropped off and Liverpool were, kind of, setting the pace, I really never thought Arsenal would get back in it. And
No, neither did I. Neither did I. But
yeah,
I mean, the
I
amount of
don't think
teams
they're
that
a
play
great.
Champions
I don't
League.
think they're a great team. Like they had a good run in the Champions League, but look at it. Look at the games against PSG. Like we beat PSG, they didn't beat PSG. They lost both games, right? So they got they beat a really poor Real Madrid. It certainly wasn't the Real Madrid of last season. And
No.
anyway, but that's them. Look, we're getting through our games, which is the most important thing. We are, another clean sheet. Emmy makes that great save at the end. That because when we go down to 10 men, I'm just like, well, they're probably going to score, right? It just seemed like, it's hard enough playing Bournemouth at Bournemouth, with 11 against 10. They've got a lot of pace, a lot of, firepower. And I knew that last 10 minutes was going to be just hell. And it kind of was. But that was the only period of the game where they sort of were on top. And, they created a couple of chances. There was the Emmy save that I just mentioned. And then the one where he somehow heads it over the bar. Good pressure from Cash, though, to make him miss that. Cash just does enough. And that's part of what I was saying about earlier. Like Cash from maybe 3 months ago fouls him for a penalty or does something like that, but he just gets enough body on him to make him rush it. Great defending.
Yeah, it was, and I mean that's why we say he's the world's number one, and he's won back-to-back Aston Awards because stuff like that is ridiculous. Like that is an unbelievable save, and he's done that so many times for us. He's bailed us out. He's won us so many points. But I think when you're playing with that much confidence, like Martinez is, and then it kind of goes through the whole team. Cash being able to do what he did, and it's a domino effect. Like the way we're playing right now. Imagine we play this all year, we probably win the league. Like if we play this the whole season, but not to be. But if
we took our first half of the season from last year and our second half of the season from this year,
we're Centurions.
We would have been right up there. And
ridiculous, huh?
Look, let's talk. Of course, Ollie got the shirt with the 75 on it. He was really happy. You could tell like this is something he's been working towards.
It means a lot to him.
Gabby Bonglahor sent him a nice message, and it's good to have him as our top goal scorer in the Premier League. Even though Billy Walker is our real goat. Okay, like football didn't start in 1992. Just for you youngins out there, we have a guy who scored 260 goals for us or something. So he's got quite a while to beat him. Until he goes ahead of him. I would love it. I would love him to do it.
We all would.
Probably unlikely. But look, great for Ollie. And hopefully he can take this form into the last two games because no Rashford, Duran's gone. He's pretty much we got Marlon, I guess. But we probably need him to be in form and bang a few in. And hopefully he can do that starting on Friday night against Spurs.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to remember, like this time last season, Watkins hit his dry spell. Couldn't score a goal for the last 2 months. It felt like he's on 19 goals, and he's scoring at the moment. Imagine if he scores 4 goals, he gets 20 goals for the year. Imagine he scores a hat trick and then gets 1 or scores 2 braces. Like for someone that didn't start the season particularly well and was quite slow at the blocks. He's on 16 goals. Yeah, 16 goals.
That's amazing. I didn't actually think he was on that many.
That's what I mean. Incredible. So he's gone under the radar, and again, he started the season slow, and but I'm stoked for him.
He was out of the team for a while there when Duran was playing. So and he's had an injury as well. So that's another great season.
It's remarkable.
Yeah, and he does all the hard work, and he gets the assists as well, which other strikers do not.
I
One
think he
other
has
thing
30 goal contributions this season. Not sure that's all comps, but I saw Villa put a thing
right.
up. He has 30 goal contributions. How many assists has he
Wow.
got? Let's have a look. So Rodgers is our most with 9 in the Premier League. Watkins has 7. So he has 16 goals and 7 assists in the Premier League, which is ridiculous.
It is. That's crazy. And considering he hasn't played every game, it's that's a wild stat. But something else that was amusing was Unai Emery in the press conference, like Europe, Europe, Europe. He just kept saying it, like he's just so happy. It was great to see. But boy, he's he's an interesting dude. Like
I love it.
was,
Honestly, it's. I remember when he was it against United on Boxing Day, like he just like does some weird stuff in press conferences.
yeah,
Like it's amazing. Like he just like will do random stuff, and that's why I love him. Like his
yeah,
personality's great. Like he's a Villa legend.
yeah.
Yeah.
He seems like just one of these uber football nerds, right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
just
he
like
is. He is.
yeah, like yeah. He's not very socially sort of savvy, and I guess English is his second language, so his English is way better than my Spanish. So,
Absolutely.
but he is a character, and like his antics on the touchline, like it is hilarious. Like, and I just loved it. I just laughed when he was like, just
Oh,
Europe,
same.
Europe,
You can't
Europe,
not laugh. It's like and
Europe.
all the memes I'm seeing of is like what Aussies say when they're going overseas, or where they go when they go overseas, or something like.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, he is a walking meme,
He is.
Emery, and
He is.
we wouldn't want him any other way. What a legend!
Absolutely.
And I hope it is Champions League Europe. So that
We'll
would
find
be great.
out. We'll find out in 2 weeks.
All right, should we do predictions for Spurs at home on Friday night?
Yeah, under the lights at Villa Park.
Last home game of the season.
I can't believe the season's ending. I actually can't believe it. It's gone so quick. So we lost to them 4-0 away, which I still can't believe, by the way. They thumped us. We're going to go ahead on aggregate. We're going to win 5-4. I'm Tommy. He's in Bali right now on holiday, and we're going to win 5-0.
5-0. I'm not that confident. I'll say 3-1, but we'll win. I think we'll win, and we'll win fairly comfortably. But it is always the Villa way to.
It was 4-0 away.
Make us sweat.
They beat us by.
I thought it was 4-1, but
did we score?
I don't know.
Someone correct. I thought it was might have been 4-0. I don't remember. It was that long ago. It was before Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a very different time. Yeah, I remember.
I'll have a look. I'll see if I can find it.
There was a free kick.
Yeah, 4-1 it was. Do you remember who scored our goal?
McGinn?
We took the lead in the game as well. Rodgers scored. We're up 1-0 at half time.
Yeah, that's right.
Fucking Mattinson scored as well. Yeah, Dickie's on it as well. There you go.
Yeah.
We're gonna win. We're gonna win. Okay, we're gonna win 4-0 then. All right, 4-0.
Okay, well, hopefully we do that. And everyone's putting their predictions. Duncan's saying 4-1. Dickie's saying 4-1.
2-1,
2-1, 3-0. So everyone's confident.
How good is this, Scott, by the way? Having people in the live chat, we love it. We love doing this every week. If we're a couple of days late, what's this? It's a Wednesday night for us here.
Look,
but we appreciate everyone.
And Tommy's in Bali at the moment. He's hopefully be back for the last.
He's very much loved up.
2 weeks.
He's very loved up, Tommy. So
he is. He's having a good season himself. Just like Ollie, his favorite player. Look, so that's Coupe de Villa for another week. Thanks for all your support. Please like and subscribe. Comment on the video once it goes up. That gets the algorithm, going along nicely. So please, tell your friends about us. We've got 2 big games to go, and hopefully you guys will be with us. So hit the notification bell, and that will let you know when we go live for the Spurs match. So until then, up the Villa, and we'll see you next time.
Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.